So let me ask Michaela and Joanna. Michaela first, could you just introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay. Hello. So yeah, my name is Michaela. I am a 3D artist. I've been in the game industry for just over 2 years now. I've worked at 22 Cans, and yeah, mainly I'm a generalist, specializing more in 3D. But I've had the chance to work on quite a few things because of being quite a small studio, which has been really fun. So I've managed to explore, lots of things, concepting, animation, VFX, which has been really fun to just dip my toes in all of it so early on in my career. Alongside that, I do a little illustration on the side, which I started up recently, which is really fun. So I'm very busy, but in a really good way.
Fantastic. I know that not everybody in the audience will be an artist, so we'll come back and just ask you a little bit more detail about what you actually do. It's nice to demystify artists from the industry for an audience that may not be all artists. So we'll come back and, Michaela, ask you a little bit more about what you actually do. Joanna, let me ask you to introduce yourself.
Hello, I am the problematic person that just chucked her phone away because it was buzzing and realized I've put notes on there for this talk, so I'll have to sneakily get that back.
Great start.
Yeah, it's going well. I'm Joanna. I'm a lighting artist.
You don't need notes for this part.
This part, no, just not this part, thankfully. But no, I'm Joanna. I'm a lighting artist at Splash Damage in London. I will have been there 2 years, the beginning of, 2 years at the beginning of April. I started as a junior and on Gears Tactics, which was kind of a trial by fire. Good luck with your application there. But yeah, trial by fire turned into a really cool experience for me personally. It really helped me kind of break out of one shell of anxiety, I guess, to really find my feet and be feeling a bit more grounded and actually part of a studio making games as opposed to just someone who got lucky in an application. But I've learned so much. The company's been really nice to me and really pushed me in my career, and I got promoted in autumn of 2020, which was lovely. And yeah, I've just been really thankful, been working on a bunch of projects since, and really feel like my knowledge is expanding. And yeah, my mum has noticed a change in me, so I think I've done well.
I've noticed that change as well.
That's very interesting. I've also noticed that change too. So yes. Okay, so while you go and find your phone, I will just reflect to the audience why and how we've got this session together. And that's because I confess that I was both of your university lecturer. So both of you who graduated in the same year were my students, and some people in the audience know that already, but many won't. And we've kept in touch, which is absolutely fantastic. And this session came out of actually a conversation, Michaela, with you, where we were talking about how it's hard to kind of recognize your own strengths, but it's really easy to support someone else. And you'd been doing that with your sister. And that's how this came about. So you'd been helping her, hadn't you?
Yeah, she was, hadn't looked at her CV in a few years, and she just wanted to look at it again. And she was just struggling with it. She was like, I can tell like my qualifications easy and everything. And then she was just like, do I need a personal profile? I was like, yeah, you do. I was like, that's easy. And I was just like firing things at her, and she was just like, oh gosh.
But probably didn't recognize those things.
Yeah, she'd been so stuck in her work and just got on with it that she hadn't actually thought about how much she's changed and how much she can do and how great of a person and a worker she was. So it was weird that she didn't see that, and that I had to almost tell her.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is exactly how the session came about. And it's really about that kind of mutually supportive thing that we often do for each other, but it's so natural that we don't kind of formalize it or realize that that's what we're doing. And then when we're on the receiving end of those kind of really positive comments, we don't necessarily take them seriously, or there is no shape to them. They're kind of just nice things that people might say to us, but we don't then think consciously, oh, okay, somebody thinks that I'm good at that thing. I think I will write that down and consider it and maybe use it in my work. So I think this whole session really is revolving around that kind of natural ability that we all have to support each other, but trying to then turn it into a little exercise that hopefully everybody in the audience will be able to take away and just do for themselves and each other. So I'm saying hello just quickly in the chat because I'm noticing lots of lovely hellos. So welcome everybody. It's very fantastic that you're here. So let's start to think then about putting some shape into this little exercise for the audience. So I'm going to ask Jo first. Can you give me 3 words that describe you? So what do you think describes you really well? And don't mute yourself like that.
Did.
No muting allowed. No muting allowed.
Yeah, I was saying I really didn't enjoy this part of it. I was much happier to compliment Michaela than myself.
I even suggested that we come up with all of them for each other, because I was like, I'll come up with 6 for you.
And my response was 6.
This just to tell the audience that this part of today's exercise is actually has been pre-shared, possibly, I think, between the two of you. No,
we don't know what we're going to say.
Okay, because I know that later there is the big reveal of what you're going to say about each other. So you haven't told each other that yet.
Yeah, I asked Michaela if what we write about ourselves is positive, and she went, the talk's called Capturing Strength. So I was like, yes, I realise this now, but so yeah, anyway.
Okay, so your 3 words about yourself.
Yeah, my 3 words. First one I put was ambitious, because I'm quite focused on my personal future right now, and I'm really excited progressing my career in the field of lighting and where that can take me in the future. Like, I'd love to kind of be on the more art director side of things, and it's like for like one of the first times in my life I'm like excited because it's a possibility.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and my second one I put was protective. I feel like I care a lot about people. I think I noticed with we've got a lot of new joiners at the company and they've never met anyone. And I was getting really passionate about how they were being onboarded, because I was like, they've not met people, they've not met the team. We're all super sociable, but it's so easy not to message someone and just ask, are you okay? Are you finding it all like fine? Are people nice to you? Like, I've found that that's kind of really shown that a bit. And as well with obviously my friends, if anything happens to them personal or career wise, I'm ready to fight for them. And
that's amazing. Yes. So ambitious but protective. What's your 3rd word?
My 3rd one I put was humorous. I used to view this as a bit of a negative because I'm the type that uses humor to respond to negative things as a coping mechanism. But I'm seeing it more now as a way of, I'm also trying to do it for other people to feel comfortable. I'm always very paranoid about how other people are thinking and feeling, and I always like go back to being friendly and humorous to try and be like, oh, it's, everyone's the same really, just hello. And that's how I deal with a lot of things, but also how I feel comfortable doing it, and I think it's quite a positive way of dealing with things too. So yeah, that was mine.
Oh, wonderful. I agree completely. I think all of those things. And Michaela, do you recognize all of those things?
Yeah, they're definitely very true, and I agree with them. And like you say, like your humor is a really big part of you, and you have used it, like you say, in some coping ways that you might see as negative, but it also is a part of you that is definitely positive. So like, I'm glad you've recognized that, because I just love your sense of humor and how you react to situations and how expressive you are. So
I agree. And Ord also agrees in the chat and says it's a good thing and it makes you approachable, which I agree with totally. And I know that sometimes, because we've known each other for a long time, you're quite shy, and actually humor is, as you say, not in a bad way, but it's a coping mechanism, because it enables you just to get over a sense of, you know, I'm feeling shy, I don't quite know what to do next, but I always know that I can make people laugh, which is, and I recognize it because I know it personally too. I do the same thing. It's, if you're nervous, sometimes it's actually a really helpful mechanism. So I really agree, and I recognize all of those things, Joanna. I think they're really insightful about yourself. So despite the fact that you didn't like doing finding your 3 words, actually, so you actually gave lots of thought to, you know, and you did really think quite deeply about those 3 elements and how they interact, because they do really interact. Being, you know, protective at work of people, you're bringing an awful lot with you to work all the time. It's not just ambition for its own sake. It's also, you know, working in the environment with lots of other people who you care about. That's all really very wonderful stuff. So you at your best are ambitious, protective, and humorous, which is really nice. And we both recognize all of that stuff about you. So accurate also.
I'm only slightly uncomfortable.
So Michaela,
right
yeah, you're the star. So, you know, you're both the stars here. So you're going to have to, you know, put up with that, I'm afraid. Okay, so Michaela, can I ask you to do this same mortifying exercise?
Yeah, I was like enjoying Joe's, but I'm like, oh God, I've got to do it.
Yes, you've got to do it now.
I think for mine, I've got oh my God, I've put like all over the page here. Should I go for scatty as one of them? No. I've got emotionally driven, I think, is quite a big one for me. I again, like with Joe, I used to see it as a bit of a negative, because when I don't know what year it was, but I just kind of just got very emotional for everything, good and bad, and it's such a roller coaster to work with. But now I've kind of accepted that is who I kind of am, and I work with it, and it's actually quite good, and I know that is me, and I just embrace it, and I think it makes me more passionate as a person towards people, and it's just and it also helps like creatively. I think it's very linked to my art flow, really. So you know, if my emotions are one way, it will inspire me in a different way to if my emotions were completely the opposite. So yeah, I've learned to work with what was a negative to be a positive. And I think, you know, showing your emotions is also really good, because it sometimes helps people, you know, feel like they can relate to you a little bit, because yeah, sometimes if you have that wall up, people don't break it down. So emotionally driven is probably the main one. I think I'm extremely like creative or experimental. I haven't really found an exact niche at the moment, and I've started to think maybe I don't know if I will, because I just really love exploring so many things. I'm like, I want to learn, I want to experiment. So just that kind of creativity, it kind of, yeah, I think that's the strength of mine. We're going to use it as a strength anyway. And I think dependability. I like to think that people can depend on me. I try to always be accessible to people, and I like it if they can trust me, if I can just support them in any way. I also think that I show me as me, so hopefully people know what they see and they can depend that I'm what I'm going to give them. You know, they know I'm going to be honest, I'm going to try and be enthusiastic. So predictable, I suppose, as well as dependable. Dependable sounds nicer than predictable.
There is a good predictable, and then there's something that people might use as a sort of more negative term, but I think there's a good predictable in that dependability sense. So yes, you at your best are somebody that anyone would depend on, for sure. I recognize that. The authentic person is definitely dependable. Do you recognize these things, Jo?
Oh God, yeah. I lived with Michaela for 2 years, so having the emotionally driven side of things, that was there. Having the creativeness, that was definitely there. I was very envious of how creative you were with everything you did, and dependable again. Yeah. Like all three of those, like, are such really good descriptors of you. Just everything that you are as a person. Like we all joked that she was the mum of the group because she took care of everyone and she made sure everyone was happy, and if people were sad they came to Michaela. But like, as well as, you know, being the mum, she was also like one of the best students of our year in how driven she was with her creativity. And yeah, it was all very you.
Thank you. I don't see why you should be envious though, because I think you definitely share some of those. Like I was.
Yeah, well, we always talk about this, like with
the
Tom.
Opposites.
We always say like how we're all creative, but in very different ways. And your creativity is kind of always dialed up to like 100%, it seems.
So I totally recognize all of these qualities in both of you, and I think it's wonderful that you've kind of thought so carefully about what really you bring to things at your best. I agree with all of them. So let's try this little exercise, which it would be great for everybody in the audience to take away and try, and maybe even suggest at work that this might be something that you could do together, because I think it's a really positive little exercise, and it is literally so easy. So, Jo, I'm going to ask you to reveal your 3 words that describe Michaela at her best. What do you think you bring?
Okay. Assertive was my first one. I said ambitious for me, but assertive for Michaela. And the differences I wanted to highlight there was that Michaela gets stuff done. Michaela is the type to have these mental creative ideas, but then actually does them, and that's really rare.
It might take a while, but I'll get them done.
You'll do it. Like, you will do it. And like, I remember, like, me and Tom went down to London where you went to have an interview to be on a game show because you were like, yeah, I'm going to be on a game show. We were just like, wow.
I got fancy now. Here we go.
So you have an idea, and you're not held back by much at all. You say you're emotionally driven, and maybe that can sometimes put self-doubt in, you know, you at the time. But if you get past that part, you're like, yeah, no, I'm doing it. And everyone's like, wow.
Be in a bold mood, and then I just go for it.
Yeah, you just go for it. Yeah, assertive. That's my main one for you. Kind of linked with that was the self-assured. I think that you like you said, you know who you are, and you show that to everyone. But it's how you put yourself into everything, from your work to networking. It's like you're always just you, and you're always just comfortable, and in everything you do, you are Michaela. And like, I really love that. I think that's amazing. Again, you might think, isn't that normal? No, it's not. As in, not normal, like, oh, she's weird, as in normal. That's amazing that you could do that. So yeah, self-assured. And then my final one, I put nurturing. I didn't want to have like a motherly term, but this was how I kind of felt with you at uni. is because we relied on each other a lot, and I genuinely don't think I would have been able to graduate without your support.
Same for you.
You were so caring. We are like such different people, but like the way that you supported me is just lovely and irreplaceable, and the nurturing side of your personality is just, I wish more people had it.
So lovely. That's so, my goodness me. This is, I mean, I'm going to challenge my own empathetic nature by bursting into tears in a minute.
Don't, because you start me off. This is too easy.
We'll all think each other in a minute. Okay, so you bring with you assertiveness, self-assuredness, and nurturingness, if that's the word. I don't know if it is. So, are you surprised by those things?
Yes and no, because I could see with how Joe's explained them, some of them, but it's like I wouldn't have used those exact like assertiveness. I don't class myself as assertive.
Yeah,
when you've explained it, I was like, I suppose I do just assert myself sometimes and just go for it, and I definitely don't always feel.
So that's so interesting. Do you think then that you could take Joe's assessment of your assertiveness and use it, like harness it for yourself? It's a strength that she's really strongly, it was the first thing on her list. It's a strength that she really, really associates with you, and she knows you very well. Can you take that and use it and just, apply it to your work?
I suppose like, if I'm just, it should just reinforce what I'm already do, because when I think about it, I still am, or still just going a bit mental and asserting myself with things that's going on at the moment. So I think I just need to remind myself that that's a quality to try and just keep the assertiveness going, because it's definitely not, I can't always do it because it's exhausting. But
no, I'm sure you don't have to do it night and day, but it's something that she and I actually recognize completely in you, and your determination is part of that feeling that you give off of being assertive. And it's really difficult, I think, being a woman and being assertive, because of course women get characterized as harridans if they're assertive. That's too much, just be quiet, or whatever it is, so actually the assuredness that goes along with that assertiveness that Joe's found in you is a really great, those are fantastic qualities that you should just bundle up and take with you and move them into your work and just say, yes, I know how to do these things and I'm going to go ahead and do them. I think that's wonderful. Great assessment, Joe. I'm going to just move forward because we don't have tons of time, which is such a shame because I could talk about this all day with you. But Michaela, can you give me the da-da moment of the 3 words that you have identified for Joe, who's having a drink and hiding behind her big cup?
They're not going to be as good as Joe's. The words are very basic. I'm not the most good at expressing. I'm a visual doer rather than a speaker, as you might be able to tell from my waffling. So I have put for Joe is I put smart on there. Is it's just broad. But what I mean is that she's smart in many ways. So you're smart for technically in your area, but your people smart as well, and it's just, you've got a lot of, you've got common sense. You can talk to people, and I can't do this. I'm so struggling with words. But you're just extremely smart. My brain is shutting down. It's such a strange exercise for me.
Great.
But yeah, I've learned a lot from Joe in many areas. So it's always like wisdom speaking to Joe, even though we're like, you're younger than me, but I'm like, go for Joe for wisdom. So yeah, definitely whenever just need advice or just knowledge, she's always got something to offer. And I really like that. The other one I've got is honest. And that's something I really respect about you, Joe. And you're laughing because you're honest with the good and the bad. And I know that if I say something to you, you will tell me if I'm wrong. And I love that because you are like my voice of reason. And I've told you this before, there was like time at uni when like the voice in my head was Joanna's. It was like I had her accent. And it's just because like whenever I would think of something, I was like, what would Joanna say to me, sort of thing. And it was very weird, that point in my life, but it was also very good.
I'm just going to tell you this because in the chat, Valeria has said the wisdom of Joe should be like a column in Game News.
It would be so good.
Okay, I'm sorry, I shouldn't interrupt.
Yeah, and I would say your strength, like you're strong, and again, not just mentally but physically. Thinking of the time when you've like been scared and grabbed onto my arm and left marks, but mentally,
I'm a very nice person, I swear.
You are, no, very lovely. But you are like, you've been my rock, like when I was at uni and out of uni, and you've always just been so supportive, and yeah, you're just very okay. I'm losing words again. Strong. But yeah, you're really good at getting past challenges and helping other people get past challenges and passing on that strength. And it's just, yeah, you are my rock, Joe.
Oh
wow. This is fantastic. So, Joe, do you recognise these things in yourself?
Yeah,
because you're honest.
I think the first one, the smart, when you said about people, is an interesting one, because we brought this up before about how I think, well, I know I'm terrible at networking and people I don't know, but I can see where you're saying in kind of being socially smart or even just aware. I get that, because I do make an effort not to just do things how everyone else does it.
Yeah, you understand people, you not figure out, but you basically, when you speak to someone, you kind of get to know their personality, and then you can speak to them in the way that works for them, and you actually address
I'm always
them.
scared of being insincere, so I guess that's nice that comes across.
But that's so smart, but then it's also very caring to just apply it and want to do that.
Yeah, strong was funny.
I think I definitely recognise these things in you, Joe. They are very definitely fundamentally you. Do you think that you can bring them to your work? Do you think that you can, for instance, smart, honest and strong is a great way to approach feedback, giving feedback to other people. You could just have those 3 words in your mind when you're giving feedback as an artist.
I'd really love that, especially because I really currently thinking I'd love to be in a lead position where I'm taking care of a team. And I keep thinking recently, like, how would I take care of them and nurture their growth in their careers? And I think that those 3 words would be a really good approach to that.
I told you recently that you've got those qualities, like you were going to be a great lead or art director. Like when you work your way up, you'll be a really good support for people and so knowledgeable. You've got the qualities there, and that's just so good.
I just need to get out of my head sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that if you can both kind of just harness these wonderful qualities that are undoubtedly in you, you're both early career game artists right now. I'm calling you early career game artists. It's not it's more of an academic term, early career, but it's like your experience, you have lots of experience, but you're growing in experience and confidence as a result, both of you. And I feel like you should just take all of those fantastic qualities, be really conscious of them, because somebody genuinely believes those things about you, and add them to things that you already know how to do, and that will enrich your confidence enormously and make you know yourselves better. So I just think you should take those strengths with you, go immediately to networking, Joe. I'm kidding. But yeah, do it though, because there are so many fabulous people in our audience and in the whole day today. There are lots of people. Go and meet people with the conscious knowledge that you are those things as well, because unconsciously we might know things, but it's really important to make them conscious. And if everybody in the audience could take this such a simple little exercise that you could do with people you know well at work, and just have a little session, which is quite jovial and fun and playful, but just do that little exercise. Know things that people appreciate about you that you don't necessarily see yourself. It's really, really hard to recognize them in yourself, because we're all culturally, determined about how we are not going to be, fantastically blowing our own trumpets. But that's the point of this. It's really just internalizing the knowledge of those wonderful qualities, and just saying, okay, I'm going to apply this to my work, and be the authentic people that you just were talking about each other.
My manager said, my manager said yesterday that it's a sad thing that people are more naturally inclined to tell you when something's gone bad or wrong, as opposed to when you've done a good job. And I think that's quite sad, because I don't see that in us three, definitely. I know we're always going to be complimenting people when they've done well, but I think it's quite sad that is the general view in a lot of companies. So I think
when someone doesn't say anything, it means it's good, but they'll pick up on something bad. But it's
it's like a couple of positive words would be nice, no matter if I can accept them or not. But so I think it's important to change that.
The challenge is you have to accept them and then take them forward. So listen, I want to thank you both so much for today. I've enjoyed every second of our conversation, which I always do. I'm so delighted that we can do this, and I'm so grateful to Women in Games for allowing us to have this space, because I think it is a really, really great little exercise that anybody in the audience could take away and do at work, at home, with their friends, with their family, with their colleagues. Just recognize the things that you are great at, because you are undoubtedly
and
great
with everything
at many
right now
things.
It can be really hard to realize that. It's definitely, I've seen myself sort of drop down in things. I've seen other people drop their self-esteem, and this exercise is so good at just reminding yourself of like how good you are and how good you can be for things, so you can actually go for them and feel positive.
You can achieve all kinds of things if you know the things that you're good at. It's just that we don't recognize them. So go away and recognize all of those good things. I'm going to wrap this up now, because I'm really conscious of time, and we've run over a little bit, but it was so fabulous. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone in the audience for being here and sharing this with us. It's been great. Thank you both very much, and speak to you very soon.
Bye.
Take care.